the primordial men who have been walking on this planet for hundreds of thousands of years have always shared this common trait of telling stories, of sharing knowledge by retelling the past, the present, and the future. The creation begins by affirming this lingual expression into our brains. Like my smaller child is learning to speak, is telling things that she did and she's going to do with her own words that she is reflecting back. We all tend to communicate. And you're wondering how to tell better stories. But why you had to tell stories when first of all you got to learn how to talk about simple little things in your life. In Finland, people love to go on markets, on fairs, to haggle, to gamble. Actually, they love to socialize. They don't go out to buy stuff. That's just a cause. But they go out in reality to communicate, to socialize with other people. They sit down, they eat ice cream, drink coffee. Finnish people drink most coffee and eat most ice cream and most sausages in the world. That's crazy. And they never do those things alone. They do it in a social setting. You see, a stubborn Finn actually loves to socialize. And that is true. They drink so much coffee. And coffee is also a cause of them just having a reason to meet and to socialize. And they don't like to meet one-on-one, but in groups. So you don't have to be so personal, like, oh, I will be stripped naked in front of another person. Oh, it's easier to have a bunch of them. But talking gives the ability just to share those small insights from life. Just on this very moment, I'm not telling you a story. I have not taught it from beginning to the finish. You got to write your YouTube script. No. You got to be present in this life. You got to live your best version of yourself. And to know how to talk about things that matter to you or to your chosen topic. Like how many stories I told now. The Finnish story, the YouTube script, and actually I am a story. You look at my background. This is a story that I am telling to you. And it's intentional. Sometimes we tell unintentional stories. Like we don't care how we look. We have some crap clothes on. Some random clothes. So I'm really intentional on this very moment. Because I let your fantasy to depict what's going on in the background of me. What's going on in there. And I'm not going to tell you. That's the topic of another video. I love doing things with my hands and with the stones. And other things that's going on there. And the clothes, of course. Representing my casual style. I'm telling a story to you. And with my looks, how I look into the camera, how I present myself, I can decide to tell a different story. I can decide to put front a different persona. I can give out a different version of myself to you. If I wanted to present a different story, I can be more cautious, I can be more aggressive, I can play a victim, I can tell how many things I don't like, or I can tell you something that is inspiring. And that's how we all can learn to tell better stories. By just talking about things that are important to us, and being the being that matters. But how can I train my skill of talking? There are many ways. Oh, so many ways. First of all, go to Finland. Go chat with the people. No, go to your local market and start asking, like, are those potatoes organic or are they being grown on pesticides? The farmers hate this question. Don't ask it. Only few of them are like, yes, they are organic. Most of them tell, yes, it's organic. And then you start asking, okay, how you're growing them? Oh, I use this fertilizer and I use this, but how it's organic then? Oh, because I live on the countryside. It's organic over there, not like in the cities. So how people perceive reality can be really different. Your perception, like the doors of perception, are opened by your mind. Or you can let me know how the Aldous Huxley quote goes. I was so inspired by Aldous Huxley when I was a youngster. I read his book where he was experimenting with mescaline. It was quite fascinating. But then I got to Don Juan and Carlos Castaneda and realized that Carlos Castaneda was way beyond advanced than Huxley. Huxley was intellectual, you know. But I love people who are practitioners, who put things into practice. Practical people who go and do strange and silly stuff. So you go communicate on your local markets. You go to the coffee shop, start talking to a person next to you, like, or you go to Ireland. Yes, the Irish are great in communication. Like I landed in Dublin, I started looking for my bus, and then someone asked, like, yo, hey, you going to bus stop? Yes, of course, and let's go, blah 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 blah. Then I find my bus to Cork, and there's the driver. Oh, hey, you're going to Cork? How long? Blah blah blah. Just then I drove 4 hours to the south to the Cork from Dublin, and I get out from the bus and I found my accommodation, and I step out of the door, and one old lady comes, like, hi, blah, 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 starts talking to me in Irish, or with a really so strong Irish accent that I cannot comprehend what she's talking. And we're walking just half an hour. I'm holding her bags, and then we arrive in front of a shop, and then she grabs her bags and waves to me and goes into the store, you know. And I was like, oh, okay, that's normal here. And I was just walking around talking to people on the streets. That's great. That's just Ireland. Go to Ireland if you want to learn talking. And from talking, you start telling stories, because you start gathering experiences in life. And life experience is the X factor in telling stories. And your life experience can be also playing a lot of computer games. Then you just have to tell your stories, how you killed dragons. and also reading and listening to the books, audiobooks, gives a lot of insights to the stories, because they're full of stories, and you can grab your favorite stories and retell them. Listening is always the key. Listening. Most of the stories that I tell, I have heard a lot of stories, and I remember them with emotions. I don't remember them in my head. It's just like, oh, this story, and I just start to talk start telling the story. And the ancient bards and the druids and the ovates, they had a really strict curriculum of learning stories. They had to learn thousands of stories by word, and they were lengthy stories, so they could share the wisdom of their ancestors to the forthcoming generations. Their learning was verbal and practical, and that should be the real schooling in this world, that the wise people come and teach group of children that are different age, not the same age. And from there, the stories will pass on and children will learn through practical skills. Nowadays, we are wasting so much time in the schools. Like, children are traumatized, like from age to 8 to 12, children should be growing and moving around, learning to know their physical body, but they're fucking sitting for 6-7 hours per day. They go to crunch, and then they go to their homes and they play computers, and their body is wrecked. This happened to me. That's why I'm so passionate about it. So we got to save the children by homeschooling and telling them stories. Like, I tell my children stories all the time. They ask me strange questions, and then I have to use my imagination quite often to answer to them. Or it's something about, oh, what's going on with the railways? When was the first railway built? Oh yeah, in England, in Manchester, I think 1825. I'm not sure, but the child gets the first impression. And okay, in England, in Manchester, okay, Liverpool maybe, and okay, let's Google it. Okay, and then we find the right answer. Okay, or we go to the museums, and then I know some things about sailing, and they're looking at ships and ferries, and I'm saying like, yeah, those ships got bombed, and then there is this Tortuga, which is nowadays Costa Rica and Haiti. I just learned it 2 weeks ago that the island of Hispaniola is divided into 2 countries. That's crazy. And one of those countries is really rich and another one is really poor. That's so stupid. There's just lying goes in the middle, and one part of the country is just struggling and the other part is just, oh yeah, so rich. What the heck? and the first naval base was in Tortuga to rob Spanish ships. So, pirateers, you are my friends. I hope you enjoyed the video. Subscribe, hit the bell button, check out the videos on manifestation, and see you soon. And join the waitlist to become a better storyteller in 90 days. It's a waitlist.